Hey everyone, I'm Caitlin Becker here at Whosay, sitting with one of the busiest actors in Hollywood, Robert Knepper.
Hey.
You have how many things happening right now? 8 characters that you did just this year?
This past year I shot them, and they're coming out soon. And I counted them up. There are 8, and some of them I can talk about, and some of them I can't because I signed this agreement. But I added them up as 4 really good guys and 4 that are not so good guys. So it's kind of even Steven this year.
You play the villain so incredibly well. It's just so in your wheelhouse as an actor. So it will be nice to see you maybe not so villainous or something.
Yeah, it'll be evened up. Don't worry.
And when we say a whole bunch of characters, we're not talking random characters, random shows, no big deal. We've got iZombie, we've got Prison Break, we've got Twin Peaks, we've got Homeland. This is just to name a few.
Yeah.
Do you think other struggling actors are out here looking and being like, Guy, can you maybe just skip an audition for us one day?
Share the wealth a little bit. Yeah, no, I've been in that position too, so I know. No, it was just, you have some good years and then maybe you don't have some good years. So, and I was taught in the theater, and rotating rep, as we call it, is, second nature. But after you finish them and you look back on them, you go, wow, I played all these different kinds of people. Each and every one of them are different.
So right now, currently airing on Showtime is Homeland. How did you get involved with this, and what was it like coming into a show that is already so established like this?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. This one I read for, and I was shooting, I think, iZombie in Vancouver, put myself on tape, and they said, you're the guy. And I'm working with a couple of the greats that I worked with years ago. Murray Abraham. I did a great production of Midsummer Night's Dream at the Public Theater years ago. So it's great with him. Mandy, I've always wanted to work with.
And he's such a theater person as well.
Yeah.
You're
so
finding
we have
these
that
amazing stage actors, yourself included.
Yeah, I miss the stage a lot. I hope to have some time to get back on the boards.
That's kind of how you grew up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, from what I understand, your mom was involved in community theater, and so you kind of got involved in community theater, and that sort of led you here, which of course always makes me think, and I loved theater growing up, and that whole world, it has to make me think that when you hear that kids today don't get that kind of opportunity, it has to be so important to want new generations of kids to be exposed to something like that.
I think for 2 reasons. One is, as the actor, it's really good to have the training. I think the discipline is pretty great. For me, it's always kept me really fresh on each take. Each night's a new performance. Each take's a new moment to have it realized. And also for the audience, I think the idea. My wife and I were just in New York, and we went to see Michael Emerson in his play. And no matter how many years go by, I love that feeling of sitting in the theater going, here we go, oh my God, the curtain's going up. And that's a really sweet feeling for an audience to watch something live like that and say, everything's on the line right here. I mean, you rehearse for 5 weeks and you're up there, but it's so spontaneous. It's great.
And I think that background and that training and the idea that, like you just said, that you walk into shooting things like television and film with that performance aspect, where it's like it's one take. This is the show. This is the show. That is, it's noticeable in your work. And I think it was Comic-Con maybe last year. You guys were at the Prison Break panel, and Sarah said that her first season was really watching you act because you guys didn't have scenes together. And she just sat there sort of awestruck by how you can perform in front of a character. And that really is a testament to theater.
I think that's the seed of it, yeah. I mean, look, Sarah's really sweet. We all feel that way about each other on Prison Break, and I got to say, most every show I work on, you're in the moment, you're acting with people, but you don't really see the performance until you can sit back when it's on TV or in the movie theater and go, wow, that's a really good actor.
Prison Break, since we're talking about it, is coming back. It's been off the air since 2009.
Yeah. 6 years we talked about. It's really, Paul Shearing has created, and I don't want to say recreate, I'm calling it a rebirth of the show. he's really let those 6 years sink in for the characters. T-Bag has definitely been through a lot in prison. The other folks have been through a lot in their lives on the outside, and he's given us what fans around the world know and expect of what this show is going to be, and then he's also added these other great elements of life.
And I have to imagine for the cast that has agreed to come back, I don't want to say necessarily pressure's on, but I feel like you guys wouldn't have signed back on unless it was going to be great. Because when you had a show with such a loyal following, and I think thanks to something like Netflix, you have people watching it for the first time every day. For you to agree to step back into prison, to step back into T-Bag's, I don't know, slides or whatever they wear in jail, it has to be worth it.
Well, again, 2 words, Paul and shearing. It was tremendous trust in him, knowing that he's the guy that created it, and we put our faith in him to know that we would be in safe territory doing what we did before, but also all this great new stuff.
And you cannot tell me anything about what to expect, can you?
No, on that show I actually can.
Ooh,
but
okay,
the brothers have told you everything that you need to know already. It's all out there, so there's nothing that I can tell you. I don't want to really talk about my character. There's so many great surprises.
Even though you have that jazzy new hand?
I do have a new hand, and I can say that because everybody, including Paul Shearing, has put out pictures of me with the new hand. Yeah, there's a new way of communicating now with a hand that just goes from the brain cells and down the arm and to the hand. So you're going to see me discovering new things. You know, for 4 years I didn't get to act with a hand. I did Heroes right after that. I went, oh, I have a left hand. I can act again. Yeah, I got used to a lot of doing that. So, yeah, that's one little thing. But everybody knows about that one. There's other secrets in it that I really just want you to be surprised by, because they're the usual humor, the humdingers that T-Bag spits out are still there. The tough side of him is still there. There's just this new, there's an attempt to walk down into this path of light. He doesn't always succeed, but he tries. He tries much harder than he did before.
I feel like you've done something really unique with T-Bag in regards to how villains are portrayed. He's very, sort of, in one hand can be vicious, but very sort of soft-spoken and almost melodic in how he kind of speaks, which is just a whole different level of kind of creepy. I mean, how did you find T-Bag? I mean, is it something you really worked at, or was it something that the character just sort of spoke to you and that's how it manifested?
The first thing I try to do is play the opposite. And so anytime you're saying, well, the typical villainous moment would be, "Arr!" And I went, ha-ha, tried to turn it into a smile. And because the character was written to be Southern, I knew the melody was going to come into that. Like, instead of zinging somebody with a line, you could pull back and say, oh, I'm just saying, like, if you want to do this, I'm just, otherwise I'm going to do this. And so there was a lot of that going on. And there was also it was a great opportunity to use, good old Northwestern University and acting substitution, animal substitution for what animals this guy would be, which was a lot of fun.
And what animals is
he? Was mostly reptilian, but there was a lot of canine involved with him as well.
I'm kind of getting in your head with this whole sort of process. Well, I'm curious, after this big break, and you've worked on so many other projects, what was your first day like back on set?
What was terrific about it is that it was not like old home week of us wasting time and AD saying, guys, come on, can you stop with the hugs? Can we please get back to work? I think all of us were very much aware of the present. And the past affected us as far as our characters, but we knew we were in a whole new place and we didn't want to duplicate what we did. So I turned to Went, I turned to Dom, I turned to Sarah, and we were just, okay, let's go. What's the next beat? Should we be over here? And then we were off and running, and before we knew it, we were finished with it.
Now, what I find sort of funny, and I don't know if you guys know this if you're watching this, but back in, I have it written down here, 2003, Fox didn't want to do Prison Break.
Really?
Yeah,
That's hard to believe.
The series was originally turned down by Fox in 2003, which was concerned about the long-term prospects of such a series. Who is that person? Who is that person who's like, you know what? It has no legs or longevity.
I think they're still there. I think
Isn't
everybody
that
who's
funny?
still finally greenlit it is still there. So no heads were rolling.
But what is it about the show that not only sort of defied the odds to what they thought people were going to want, but all of these years later to come back at this time where television right now is so great? I mean, you're on other shows that are so great.
Yeah. I tell you, ever since Prison Break, and this last year has been a lot of traveling. I forgot another character. There's 9 characters, excuse me.
Posted of characters.
Cape Town. I was shooting down there. My wife and I went to China for Comic-Con in Shanghai. We've been to Belgium. We've been to Holland. Everywhere we go, there's no one, I swear, on the planet that doesn't know Prison Break, and is so happy that it's coming back. And I'm not sure what the answer is, except it's just easy to keep going back to Paul Shearing. This 9-parter that's coming up is it's so much Paul Shearing. It's so the first season, that nail-biting thing of what's happening next. And with these, nowadays, you can stream it. But it's going to be on Fox again. People are going to be calling me up and saying, you have to tell me, please. I can't wait. I'm like, I can't tell you. You're going to have to wait.
How do you handle social media in that case? I mean, I feel like when season 1 of Prison Break was on, you weren't getting people tweeting you left and right, fans that had access, Instagram and Facebook and all sorts of social media. I mean, how are you going to manage the hordes of people who are going to want answers?
I'll let you know. I don't know. My computer's going to crash, I guess.
Probably, absolutely. Wentworth has said that if the fans respond the way they did originally to Prison Break, he'd be open to possibly more episodes. Are you down for more episodes?
Oh, we'll see.
Oh, come on!
I
Okay, so this is when we all get together on social media and start harassing. Just kidding, don't harass. But
first of all, it would be nice to know from the world if that's an idea that is viable for people, or they just say, thank you very much, now we're done with this, and bye-bye, thanks for the memory. I grew up in Ohio. County fairs are a big thing, and I remember as a kid going to, like the cast of Hee Haw would be at the Lucas County Fair, and I thought, if you're going to sing at a county fair, you better make sure your career is still really viable. Otherwise, I'm the guy that'd be singing T-Bag's favorite hits at the Lucas County Fair forever, and I don't want that career. I love being like I said, these now 9 characters I realized I played in the year. They're all completely different, and they just make me feel really good when I go to sleep at night, knowing, yeah, I'm doing my job as a chameleon actor. I'm playing all day, and I don't want to ever stop and be pigeonholed by one guy. T-Bag has been an incredible ride, and so we'll see.
It has so much of these reboots and revisiting these series have so much to do with the fans. You have a show like Prison Break who has this very wide legion of fans. And then you're on the reboot of Twin Peaks, which has a small, devoted cult following of fans. So how did you get involved in the reboot, and how does it compare to the original?
Okay, so Twin Peaks, like Homeland, are 2 of the shows that I can't talk about very much.
Okay.
But I have to tell you, there's 2 words that make Twin Peaks. David Lynch. And working with David Lynch is everything that I expected it to be, and so much more. The man is a genius. And I was in awe every day of working with him. He is, basically also a character in the whole. He is the story. It is one of those shows where you just had to really be in the moment. You had to be in the present because you knew what you were shooting, like a Woody Allen film. You knew what you were shooting, and you didn't know any of the other part of the story. I have no idea how it's going to end up. I hear it's great, and those loyal fans, I think, are going to be very turned on by it.
If someone had asked you 15 years ago what you thought about rebooting popular shows, what do you think you would have said?
I would have said it's bullshit. And I really, because of my conversation with Paul Shearing, I think I might have coined it. I don't consider Prison Break a reboot. I consider it a rebirth, because he really did take into account this change of life for these 6 years. He's not just starting up where it left off. He really is giving us something completely new. You know, I think it's great. Everybody should try to make money off their shows and try to bring them back. People are dying for something they know that's comfortable and safe, and the networks want to make that choice. It's fine. But they should watch Prison Break, and they should watch Twin Peaks. And hopefully I'm not going to eat these words, but to see how it's done. Because it certainly gives you the flavor of what, you know, you feel all cozy. Now we're going to cozy up to Prison Break and Twin Peaks. But then you go, okay, David Lynch doesn't settle for the past. And we'll see. I hope so.
It also seems like a very interesting time in television. Not only are we revisiting a lot of these great characters and storylines and plots sort of across the spectrum when it comes to film and television, but because of streaming services, people who might not have watched the original when it was on are now new fans of it, and they're watching it as if it's happening in the present, which is really interesting.
Well, it's like I said, going around the world, it feels like it's still on because of Netflix, because of however they're able to download it and watch it.
Because of that, does that in some way sort of raise the degree of difficulty for current shows? Because I don't have to watch what's on a network tonight, because I can go back and tell someone to watch 6 seasons or 5 seasons of a different show. I can go back and watch Prison Break start to finish and not have to commit to something that's on. So is that raising the degree of difficulty for current shows to compete?
I think from a network executive level, yeah. I mean, I've had a couple of great shows that I've been a part of that didn't have the numbers right away, and the network got scared and said, and it's too bad, because they were really, really great shows. And I think that's something that television's still got to figure out what they're going to do. How do you not lose great shows just because the numbers didn't pop right away?
And then oftentimes you'll see them pop later. I mean, if you look at a show like Arrested Development that went off the air in 3 seasons, the obsessive legions of fans who fought to bring it back like 10 years later. You have to give shows sometimes a little time to find their footing and to breathe.
Yeah, no, they don't give much time anymore.
Really don't, which is why someone like you is involved in 1,000 of them at one time.
I think you just got to keep, everything floating up in the air, because you never know. I mean, all of a sudden I went, wow, I've got, Where's Rocky 2, Frat Pack, Badsville, all these 3 indies. I've got the other shows. I've got the TV movie, The Dating Game Killer, coming out hopefully sometime this spring on ID. Well, what am I doing now? I did all that last year. Let's get on it, guys. Come on.
Vacation or something.
No. I never go to work. I always go to play, and I know I've said that a million times, but I thrive on working. It's like going to the gym. You don't work out just once every 3 months. You want to work out every day. Prison Break taught me to love going to play every day. And with that kind of show, I wasn't saying, book 'em Dano every day. I was doing all these different kinds of things. It was a fluid, moving story that never stopped until the end, and then we brought it back again.
There's a new season of iZombie coming out April 4th, the same day as Prison Break. That has to be a show that is a lot of fun to be on.
Rob Thomas is one of the most creative writers, and the stuff that he gives me and David Anders to do, this father-son
Blaine,
this crazy relationship of this rich man and his crazy son Blaine is
quirky, just unique, kind of evil.
If you could live on words, they would be Rob Thomas's words. Like if I could just eat his words, because we literally chew up the scenery with these words, and they've been so great.
Okay, so since you said chewing up, what are the brains made out of? What are you at when you guys are snacking on brains? Because I'm also, if you don't watch iZombie, it's such a odd concept for a show, but it is so fun. I'm such a fan. What the heck are those brains? What do they taste like?
Well, they are mushy, I remember. They're soft, and when you first bite into them, you're thinking, okay, I know these aren't really brains, but the idea that they're called brains, and they feel like what brains should feel like and taste like. I'm not really sure if it's just really steamed cauliflower.
I feel like you'd be able to taste the cauliflower.
I don't know if it's
is it
like
sweet? Is it savory? I just
I don't
every
know if
time
it's
I watch
Cuisinart kind of stuff all mixed. Maybe brains are really in there, you know?
Ugh. How much do you have to eat
I don't know.
in like a given day if you're shooting a
Okay,
brain
well,
eating scene?
Rob, don't hate me, Rob. We're going to talk about one scene, and it'll show up somewhere in the. I had to eat brains, like just eating them off a plate, like it was just like this great little salad plate put together or something. And you know, when you shoot a scene, you eat a lot. I don't think I ate lunch that day because I ate so many brains, and I was totally fine with that. I was smart the whole afternoon.
The whole afternoon. Very smart. That's one of the more sort of fun concepts of the show is that you sort of, when you imbibe the brains, you imbibe part of the personality. That's just a fun
Right.
little quirky aspect. When you look across, let's even just give it your last year. When you look at the different kinds of characters that you've been able to play, even within the same sort of level, I mean, if you look at a character on iZombie versus Teabag, they're both villainous. They're not the best guys, but they're just so, you can't compare them. It's apples
No.
and oranges.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite type of character to play?
No. I gotta watch which words I use. Sorry. I was gonna say something about people that sell themselves on the street corner. As long as the character is what I call three-dimensional, even if it's a bad guy. I honestly, I haven't played a bad guy in a really long time. They're really, you know, these people that are just living in both black and white, and I'm in this kind of Bob Mitchum kind of phase right now in my life, or a Jack Nicholson kind of thing. These are really strong men who, you know, for the sake of film, which thank God, they're also really vulnerable at times.
And they just serve such a purpose when you're watching it. It really, for the audience, those types of characters that are a little more unique, a little left of center, that's what draws a viewer in. It really gets us to connect and see someone that is so different than what we usually see in our regular lives.
I'm a huge fan right now of comedies, really dry comedies. And the great thing about Teabag and this sweet movie that I hope sees the light of day sometime soon this year called Frat Pack. Richard Reed wrote it, and it's starting to maybe going to do the festival circuit now. But it is funny as crap, and I play a really funny character in it. And when you say maybe a favorite character, I think that's probably, you know, where I want to be headed, or at least to be able to have that in the repertoire. It's tough. I mean, young people nowadays know Robert De Niro mostly is doing the funny parts, and they weren't around when he did Taxi Driver and, you know, so many other great dramatic roles. I hope it doesn't happen where I just go to comedy and then they go, "What? He played Teabag? No, forget it. I don't buy it. He's just funny. Let's give him that stuff." It's tricky. You have to always kind of be one step ahead of the business in a way.
Well, you're many steps into the business right now. I mean, so many projects on. We have Homeland, that's happening right now on Showtime. Twin Peaks comes out on Showtime May 21st. We've got April 4th, iZombie on the CW, and we also have Prison Break April 4th on Fox. Did I get everything that's... And I didn't even look.
And oh wait, you left out Kiefer Sutherland's music video I just shot.
Oh yeah. Side note, you're like a video
I had
vixen
so
these
much
days.
fun with Kiefer. We just shot it this past weekend. It's the song is called Shirley Jean, and whenever he gets it finished, he's going to put it out there. We had a hoot. I did 2 movies with him years ago.
What do you do in the music video?
I think I can talk about it. The song is about this man telling this woman that, you know, they're going to pull the plug on him. He's being executed, and he's on death row, and that's the guy. And
Music
it's beautifully
videos,
shot.
comedies,
Beautifully.
films, bad guys, prison, zombies, eating brains. Literally, there is nothing that you can't do. If you were going for chameleon actor, I think you might have taken the cake this year.
Thank you. But one last plug I want to make for something. On top of all that, and that's what actors do, we're supposed to have that little pot of all these things. I love being a great dad and hopefully a great husband. And you can do it all, is what I'm trying to say. You can play a myriad of characters, and your real life is better for it, and your real life is great because everything is going on, and it's been a hell of a ride, and I'm really, really appreciative of all of it.
An exciting couple of months to see all of these projects that you're working on. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys, of course, for joining us.